Hi everyone, thanks for joining us. I'm Kelly Beatty and welcome to the premiere episode of Age-Friendly Chelmsford. In this program, we're going to explore all the ways in which our senior population is living and breathing and thriving here in the town of Chelmsford. And we're going to explore some of the initiatives that are underway to even make it a better place. So we have three great guests here today. We have Town Manager Paul Cohen. Paul, thanks for joining us. Lisa Marrone, who's the Director of Business Development, and also Debbie Siriani, who's the Director of the Senior Center. What a great set of people to join us. Let me get started, Paul. At the most recent town meeting, you had Fred Brousseau give a presentation on the status of seniors in Chelmsford and a new initiative that we'll get into involving the AARP and becoming an age-friendly community. Tell us about why you had Fred give that presentation.
I think we're all aware that the senior population of Chelmsford is a growing population of Chelmsford. About 30% of our residents are 60 or older, which actually outnumbers the number of school children families we have in town, which is less than 20%. So the demographics in town are changing. Obviously, people are living longer and healthier lives, and so I think it's important to increase the awareness and then obviously provide support in the community for the change in population.
Yes. And Debbie, I mean, we have this thriving senior center in North Chelmsford. Give us a sort of sketch of the breadth of activities that you already have there for seniors and how popular they are.
Oh, goodness, how much time do you have? I'm kidding. No, it really is thriving. Thank you I'm glad you noticed. We have everything from, first of all, we're the Human Service Department, making sure that people have resources to health care assistance, to housing. We're like the hub, and we're sending people out. We're the infielder, and we're at the first line of defense. So we're helping people get information about what other resources are out there. But then we're also like a community center. We're a community center for people who are 60 and up, and so they come there, they volunteer, they're an integral part of the community. We have exercise programs, we have things for educational opportunities for seniors. We have, let's say, a social day program. We have Meals on Wheels, a lunch program, a cafe, a fitness room. We've got companion programs. We have everything from painting to cultural lecture series. So, yeah, a lot. And a transportation program as well.
And what was the transportation program involve?
We have 3 vans and 2 cars, and we bring people with van drivers and other staff, and we pick people up and bring them to our social day program, or we bring them to medical appointments or other appointments in Chelmsford or Westford or Lowell for medical.
Hold that thought, because I know we're going to get back to it. So Lisa, with 30% of the town in this senior bracket, it strikes me that means people want to stay here, and therefore they become a sort of integral part of not only the community socially, but as part of the economic engine that drives the town. What are the sort of the things that you see from your office as you're now at Chelmsford Crossroads, the program? Does that give you a position of strength to have such a stable and experienced population?
Absolutely. I think what also, at times gets overlooked is that there's a wealth of experienced, seasoned workers that are still interested to be an integral part of the business community, and that is often something that employers are just searching for the recent college graduate or looking for the just that skill set. But what we're trying to do here through the Age-Friendly program is to also integrate with employment opportunities for professionals or part-time or supplement a small project, even internships. It doesn't necessarily have to be a college graduate, but could be a short-term project, could be a long-term, part-time, 10 hours a week. So there could be a lot of business opportunities that can overlay into the Age-Friendly program. But also let's keep in mind that a lot of the workforce in town may also learn from Age-Friendly for their own families and their own, aging parents, and programs that Debbie may offer that can help an employee in town be able to better manage the life-work balance. Also, my involvement is multi-layer, so what we'll be doing and eventually rolling out soon will be an educational training program for businesses to learn how to be age-friendly, whether they are restaurants or retail. The library will have a special training. There's many different opportunities to get involved, either offering part-time employment or looking for employment if you're a person that's semi-retired or thinking about how to be busy again, pick up projects. Those are things that we're trying to kind of create those connections to add more community value and community involvement, participation. We're all an integral part of how to get this going, but I'm very excited to be a part of it. So, thank you for including me.
We're lucky to.
Yeah.
That's
Lucky
great.
to have.
And as to once you get to be a certain age and you're retired, you have all this free time that you can volunteer, and we see this reflected all the way across the community. Even here at Chelmsford Telemedia, a lot of our volunteers are retirees. Paul, I want to touch on the sort of economic health of this demographic. I know that we have this really terrific housing authority, and senior housing is an important part of that. Would you say that we have enough housing for the seniors? Is there a long waiting list? And I realize you're not on the housing authority,
Right.
but you're certainly in touch.
No, there's clearly insufficient housing, not only in Chelmsford, but in the region as a whole. But even senior housing, because as you noted, oftentimes when people get older, they want to downsize, or not have to deal with the stairs and the multi-story dwellings and so forth, or larger home, and we don't have a sufficient amount of what we call alternative housing stock for seniors, which often is also seen at the other end of the spectrum in terms of young employees or young members of the workforce. Right now, the waiting list to get into the housing authority is over 3 years.
Wow.
And so clearly that the public housing is short, but even market rate housing, and that's why what you've seen develop in town in the recent 18, 24 months have been these multi-unit dwellings. The most notable one in the center, where they're building 34 condos. And those certainly are not affordable, but they're market rate condos for people who are looking to downsize, and they've already sold over a dozen of those, many of them to Chelmsford residents. And then they have the apartments that were built, and recently there were 108 opened and now full at Old Mill Road. And then there's also the 164 units that are being built, and first phase is opening this month over on Turnpike Street by Warren Avenue for the apartments there as well. So there's this demand, and it's going to be an increasing demand because people want to stay in the community. Often, the old notion when we were younger was, people retire, go to Florida. And what we're seeing is
Florida's full. They don't want this anymore.
But also, what draws people and keeps people back is family connections and friends. And so oftentimes, there are people who want to remain in those circles, their church, their social circles, family connections. And so they want to remain in the community. And as you know, the transportation is often a challenge, so they can't go to a more remote area of the state because, again, the transit's so challenging. So really, there is a demand for additional housing stock. And so I think that's what the trend that you'll see continuing. And most notably will be the UMass West campus. The discussion there is, senior housing for that 30-acre campus, and then also even even on Route 40 by the Westford Town line, off of Route 3, there's discussion there again of senior housing, so that people are be convenient to the community as well as their physicians and professional services. So, I think the old adage that people are just retiring and going to Florida or Arizona or what have you, I think is not so true. But the other problem is the numbers. So even if you had that same percentage, just the number of people, and then what that does is that then frees up housing stock for families.
Right.
So that if somebody moves from a 4-bedroom home whose family has grown, then there may be a young family that moves in and starts their family there. So that's why this housing stock is so critical.
Right. So what Fred Brousseau said and illustrated at town meeting was this notion of Chelmsford becoming an age-friendly community as typified by a program that the AARP has started for such a thing, and there's actually a whole program that's involved with that. Where did the initiative for that come from? Was that from the Council on Aging?
So the Council on Aging started the ball rolling and invited core members, department heads, and Paul's been at every meeting. He's been wonderful. And
He hopes to be a senior one day, so that's why he's paying attention.
Getting closer.
And so we have a core group who've been going through the process of looking at the community assessments, seeing what we already have, and then setting short-term and long-term goals. We're at the point now where we're looking to expand the team and go out to stakeholders and start getting the community input, and that's why partly we're here, because we want more people involved in letting us know what is needed. We're in the process of doing surveys and community listening sessions and focus groups, and so we're looking for people to be involved. And that's not the only way you can be involved. You can also email us and let us know, or give us a call and say, gosh, I find this to be my biggest challenge, and if you could help me figure out a way to do blank, then that would be really helpful for us to hear from people at this point.
Right, and we'll try to insert this in the credits at the end, but if you've struck a nerve already and someone wants to contact, is there a single point of contact to get involved here? Is to reach you or call town hall or what?
Boy, it's a multi-layered approach, but I'll put my email's easy, or my phone number. We can call the Senior Center at 978-251-0533.
Okay, so this AARP program to create an age-friendly community has actually taken off. There's quite a few towns already in Massachusetts that have adopted this. If you go to the AARP website, you'll see that there are dozens and dozens of communities here in Massachusetts already that have. And I noticed that some of them became members as long ago as 2015, for example. So it's a program that's reached a certain amount of maturity.
Yes.
What are the sort of steps that are going to be required to fully comply with that? I noticed that there are these 8 domains sort of that are focusing our attention. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's based on the World Health Organization's mythology of an age-friendly community. So it's like a flower, 8 petals, and we have the graphic that I shared with them before. We'll pop that up for people to see. But it's basically, and then that was adopted by the AARP in their process as well. But what each domain has is a list of a checklist, and you can basically take a look at what your community is already doing and what needs to be done. Each town decides what the process looks like to the town. So we can choose one petal and say, wow, we're looking really forward to making big differences in housing in the next 5 years, and that's what our process is for Chelmsford. But each town is very different, and so uses this structure to assess their towns, decide what the priorities are, and then move forward with a short-term and long-term plan.
So you've already decided that housing is going to have a sort of a priority attached to it.
In our process so far,
I think transportation is the other big one.
Well, that was-
I think that's the big
Yeah.
one.
Right, and Lisa, I was going to ask you about that. You know, especially with the notion of developing the 129 corridor,
Yes.
and it's sort of diversifying, if I can use that word, the places where people go to get stuff.
Right.
Although if you heard conversation in town meeting, it's either town center or Drum Hill. Those are the only two places that people go anymore to get lunch. How do you? That's a tough nut to crack.
It is.
Transportation within the town. We
is.
have some vans with the senior center. The LRTA, Lowell's Transportation, has a few routes that crisscross the town. How do you expand that and make it more workable?
Well, I think the key is to bring in as many partners in transportation as possible, and what we've been doing. For 129, not to divert off of Age-Friendly, but the 129 effort is heading towards pushing a business shuttle, but that takes participation from businesses that are interested to subsidize the shuttle. So that's kind of a give and take. Some of it's an awareness factor where you've got to promote this and constantly push that message out in every conversation you have. But understanding those challenges, some of it overlaps with the challenges of transportation for Age-Friendly Program. The good news is there's a lot of great things in place, and it's a matter of learning how to expand that further, find different pots of money, creative funding and lending to either expand more or new transportation or more routes, things like that, which is what we've been trying to have some conversations. Transportation is one of the largest hurdles for the domains to get over, and the person leading that charge has include input from every other domain because it's all interlaced together. And they've been really pursuing a lot of different attending conferences with MassDOT, and we're all just feeding each other information that affects each of our domains, and then we're doing an info exchange and learning how this team is going to make this happen. So transportation is the biggest and the largest challenge. So we're looking at different funding sources now that we've been designated as age-friendly. We do have a added push for grant money. For grant money allowed for age-friendly achievement, so maybe we'll explore some of those options to use towards transportation and learn how we can get over some of the challenges. There's always been an existing issue with providing the appropriate types of transportation, daytime, weekend, weeknight, individual, door-to-door, accommodating special needs, all of that. So it's really complicated, and that's why you see some are taking 3 or 4 years to get to the final finish line. But we're very encouraged because our group has consistently had very strong attendance, a lot of involvement, a lot of people that are in there for genuine, heartfelt reasons and not just wanting to find out how to get a better ride for their mother to the doctor or something like that. So I think that it will take some time, but I feel like we'll get there a little bit faster than most, possibly because of just such a motivation by so many different people coming from all the perspectives. And so it's going to be, as Debbie said, each community goes through it differently. We'll come across different opportunities to add to transportation. We may have different challenges, but the good news is that there's a lot of dedicated people that are willing to just keep going until we can get some resolution to some of the big issues.
Just to touch on this transportation a little bit further, from your perspective, right?
Yes.
What are the unmet transportation needs? Do the seniors tend to need to go to places within Chelmsford, outside of Chelmsford, frequently, occasionally, same place over and over again?
So what we're seeing now is, for one, we need to call for 48 hours notice for a ride at the senior center. So people don't have on-call options. And if they do, it's Uber or Lyft, and that has certain hurdles for some people if they're not tech savvy or if they're just really worried about it and don't understand it yet. And also, it's quite a bit more expensive than our rides, quite a bit more.
Right.
And added on to a copay maybe at a doctor's office, if you're going to the doctor 3 times a week, perhaps some people are needing transportation like that. That adds tremendously. So we've got need for on-call rides, which we don't have right now. Then a lot at nighttime and weekends. We don't have options at the senior center because we're a municipal department and we're Monday through Friday, and we go home sometimes.
Good. Well, actually,
I'm not sure all the time.
I can
And
see
then-
that. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
But then also going to Leahy, going to Boston, we don't have the option to bring people further out.
Right.
And
Well,
people need those options.
I can see that a further episode of this program we'll have to dedicate it to transportation because there's many layers
Definitely.
here. Paul, I wanted to get back to you. There are these 8 domains: social participation, respect and social inclusion, communications, social and health service. What do you think we're doing very well for our seniors here in town at the moment?
I mean, my sense is I think the communication is pretty good. I don't hear back, and Deb can sort of follow up with that we're not reaching the audiences. I think there's a number of seniors who don't want to be involved with the senior center. There's that old stereotype of that's where the old folks are at, and services. I'm too young to
And
go
not
there.
everyone is social.
Not everybody's social, and
Right.
so I think the issue is, I think we're pretty good at the communication level. In terms of making there's an awareness that we have a senior center, that that there's a variety of programs there, and so I think that the communication aspect is good. I think, as you said, the key issue I think is it goes back to transportation. That's the paramount one, but I think the communication is there. As you said, I think the socialization is there. I mean, we have those venues, but I think it comes down to. How do we best reach it? I think the most troubling one that we have is in the town as a whole is how do we reach people in times of critical need? In other words, if there's a severe storm or the power is lost for a prolonged period, and we've had those in Chelmsford in the last several years, it's that question about looking in at your neighbors and being able to make sure that somebody isn't in distress. And we do have that information for critical facilities at our dispatch and public safety units. And so I think there's a difference between the social communication versus the emergency communication.
Mm-hmm.
But I think but I think what we do well at is I think the communication awareness is out there, and I think again if people do need assistance, I think like you said the senior center is the place to reach out, and Deb and her staff will direct people to where they need to be.
And going down this list, I would actually say that civil participation is something that our seniors are really strong at. We see them everywhere. Chelmsford's a town with lots of volunteerism anyway, but I think our seniors are really stepping up.
Yeah, we have 150 in our senior work program that's administered through the senior center, so they're in various departments. You see them at elections, right?
Yeah.
You go to the voting. So I think
I
they
want
are
that
involved.
gig.
Yeah, I think
They're running the cameras.
So I think they are involved in aspects around town, and I think, and given today's economy, I think there is that demand for the senior skill set as well.
Yeah.
And I think you see that more and more often, whether you're at Market Basket or wherever you're at, you're seeing a older mix of workers in the employment population.
And one of the things here, Lisa, is outdoor spaces and buildings. I mean, with the Chelmsford Center for the Arts and North Town Hall conversion, I think we have good spaces, and
We do. We do. And I think so, that's a checklist that includes accessibility. Is it easily able to come in with people of special needs, things like that, the lighting, parking, and just, the awareness factors of where our public spaces are, what buildings are responsibility by the municipality. But it is an important domain, and we talk about it at every meeting. So we're addressing quite a bit.
I think one of the challenges is the whole issue of dementia is a growing phenomenon
Yes.
and I know whether it's Alzheimer's and others, and I know Deb and so many can just speak to that issue of that is a critical need, and I think the Age-Friendly Initiative will hopefully touch in on that. You talk about the Purple Table, Lisa, and
Yeah,
others.
so Purple Table, if you're not familiar, very briefly, it's a complementary program to what we are trying to do. So it'll be another layer. Purple Table kind of educates the public on where they can go for restaurant dining for staff that's familiar with how to accommodate special, either it's autism, Alzheimer's, dementia, PTSD, those types of added needs. So the restaurant staff will be welcome to participate in our educational training. And then the Purple Table does an online segment where you can go online and see what businesses what restaurants can accommodate those types of needs for dining.
So how often are the groups meeting? Because we're rapidly running out of time here, but are the meetings that you have open? Can anyone come that feels interested, and how do they find out about those?
Absolutely. We've been posting all the meetings. We have a monthly meeting at the last, well, this month is different.
Generally the last Wednesday.
Right.
It has been the last Wednesday of the month at 9 o'clock at the Senior Center. This month it will be Tuesday, the
July
last
25th.
Yeah, the last Tuesday, and that's at 9 a.m. And that's completely open. Also, we have posted listening sessions, and we've been putting that on our website. We've been putting them also on our in our newsletters and on Facebook, so we're letting people know about that.
Great. So Paul Cohen, Lisa Marrone, Deb Siriani, thank you so much for kicking this off. We have a lot more material to come to, and we'll be doing that in future sessions here. So keep tabs on your activities here in town, and join us again next time for Age-Friendly Chelmsford. I'm Kelly Beatty. Thank you, and take care.